Hello everybody, it's Andrew's Weather Predictions here. Today we're going to be talking about a lot of details here, a lot of stuff about our upcoming significant severe weather event for this area and faces a little bit further north and to the east. We have a lot more new details coming out. This is looking a lot more potent. Um, but let's just get into it. So currently we really don't have too much going on. We do have a winter storm over here bringing some winter weather stuff right here. Across the northwest isolated advisories. We also have northern Minnesota getting in on action. Then we have a big flash flooding threat over here with flash flood warnings and watches, and a line of thunderstorms over here. If we do currently check the GR2 analyst here, we see a line of strong thunderstorms approaching the Des Moines area, with some weak rotation at times as well. And if I do click down on this marine warning down here, you will see we do have a marginal risk across this area. Once this loads though, will take a second to load, so just an FYI here. Okay, so boom. We can see here we have a line of strong thunderstorms. If we do back this up here, this actually did go severe warned a little bit while ago, but see just a line of strong thunderstorms. And currently, if you look at the Weather Prediction Center here, here's today, and then here's tomorrow. So tomorrow we do have we do have a risk for scattered severe weather now across this area. Like I said, I thought a slight risk was going to get issued, and it did. For day 3, we have a very widespread severe weather event expected from eastern Texas all the way up and through this into Georgia. We'll talk about that in more detail in a little bit here. Take a look at your front map here. Just taking a look at this. 12Z, and at this point on Friday, we're likely going to be seeing a line of very strong thunderstorms across this area, moving through, with some supercells out in front potentially, so that's something to keep an eye on. Friday, nothing significant. Saturday, potential for some severe weather across the south, as well as Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I don't know what's going to happen there. Kind of far out. We do have a couple slight risks of flash flooding over the next few days, and then a lot of rain is expected across the United States. We have a marginal risk for 2 different areas with 2% tornado risk, 5% wind, and 5% hail. So basically, we risk for a marginal shot for severe weather. That means isolated severe storms, mainly brief and short-lived. Day 2, we have a slight risk. We have a 2% tornado risk, 5 wind, and 15 hail. Hail will be your main threat due to the fact that you'll have elevated thunderstorms in this area. You will see some surface-based activity possible with any storm that can get by itself. We do mention here long discussion with maybe a larger slight being possible, and a tornado threat with any surface-based storms, like I said. Now, this is day 3. This is the day that looks the most major and potent. I do think this is going to go moderate risk with the day 2 outlook, probably somewhere right in here is where it's going to go moderate. Probably something like this. It's probably going to go moderate, something like that. Or, actually, I can't draw moderate very well. Probably something like this, a broad area that could go moderate in here, maybe a bit further to the north and east. But, yeah, very significant event already expected. I do think the risk will get expanded a little bit. We have a 30% SIG risk for some significant severe weather. 11 million people in that significant risk for tornadoes, wind, and hail. Storm Prediction Center mentioning a potential outbreak of severe weather, including strong tornadoes, wind, and hail. And they do mention a potential for slight to get expanded further north. In the day 4 through 8 outlook, they do mention potential for an upgrade for day 5 and 6. Now, let's just go speedrun here through the, not speedrun, but let's just go kind of fast with the HRR. So, we're looking here. We see that low pressure develop, and then this is tomorrow afternoon. We will see an area of severe thunderstorms across this area. We may see a slight with that. And then we do see some supercells starting to develop along that warm front as they move northward, some multi-celled clusters as well. Well, that's too far out. That's a bit of a take into the future here. You guys get a little sneak peek. But yeah, as you can see here, the H ball develops a fierce supercell. If I end up taking a sounding out in front of it, you see it's somewhat favorable for tornadoes, but it's elevated off the ground, so I do think wind and hail would be the main threat with that one. I keep on accidentally forwarding it too fast. Whoopsie daisies. But as you can see here, the H-triple develops a long track storm with velocity tracks, and then boom, it ends up developing a squall line across eastern Texas with potential for tornadoes, wind, and hail. You see here some morning convection. Pushes out. We get some new convection to form. You're thinking, nothing too bad yet. It's 17, so you're thinking, nah, nothing too bad yet. Well, I'll show you in a second here. Central Arkansas does have a weak risk of severe weather. That won't be severe weather boosting down. 18Z, the HRRR, you aren't able to get into the full event yet, but we do see we have an area of severe weather potentially here, and then we have an area of supercells in here. Some of these are going to be embedded. I will actually, this is still a perfect spot. We're going to stick on this frame right now. If you do take a sounding south of these kind of supercells there, you get a large hodograph with high instability and some dry air in the middle levels. That's going to help with the kind of killing off the weaker storm development. High lapse rates in this area, and some lower level veering, as well as veering with height, and a lot of streamwise vorticity there. It's a bit stable at the surface, but that's going to be common with this event as we're right next to the Gulf. You do end up taking a sounding a bit further to the north. You're going to end up with less instability, but you're going to end up with around the same amount of shear, around the same amount of lapse rates, a little bit more, around the same amount of 3K, pretty much the same sounding as you would further south. And then I'm going to go take a box sounding for this whole area here, and it's going to end up taking in with a PDS tour, possible hazard type. You're going to have a large hodograph with 300 to 400 SRH and 2000 cape with some decent lapse rates across this area and surface-based storm potential. And there is some slight EML in this area, but it's not that great. So some fail modes that I am seeing. Early morning convection ruining the event if we don't have enough dry air in this area. Thunderstorms be growing upscale too quickly, which is definitely a possibility. But overall, there's not very many fail modes right now. You do end up looking at the NAM nest. It goes full supercellular, which is just rare for the NAM nest to do. It doesn't do that very often at all. You end up taking a sounding here, north central Mississippi. Oh wait, that's not the right area. South central Mississippi here in front of this area of developing thunderstorms. Again, something similar to what the HRRR is showing. The hodograph isn't as streamwise and enlarged still. This is more of a streamwise hodograph here. But as you can see here, this really starts ramping up as we go throughout the night. Very significant situation occurs, and that's a bit contaminated, but you get that's a bit contaminated what I got. Okay, this isn't contaminated. 2000 cape nearly. 700 SRH, and that's a very streamwise hodograph. That's going to promote strong tornado development. Oh, I didn't mean to click on the SIG-TOR parameter. I know I don't usually use this word often, but we could see some violent tornadoes if the models keep up with this. These are the helicity tracks, and as you can see here, kind of slams Arkansas or Mississippi and Alabama right now with them. We'll see. The HRRR, we can't really use that right now too much to determine the helicity tracks. If we do end up looking at the NAM, though, we'll go back to 18Z when it's pretty much at peak instability. Yeah, the NAM shows a lot of instability along with other models. If you do end up taking a sounding right here, 3,700 cape, that's nearing 4,000. Low storms. Some veering as well on the lower levels. That's going to promote supercells. High lapse rates, high 3 cape. Everything you need for a tornado outbreak is within this sounding. And actually, here's the synoptic view of things with the HRRR. And I know it's not really right to compare events, but comparing this event to to the 45 SIG we had on St. Patrick's Day, you have a lot more wind shear across the warm sector when the storms develop. This is right around when the storms really start taking shape. You have nearly 70 knots and widespread 40-50 knots across the warm sector. Not good. You still have around the same amount of instability. You have a lot larger of a warm sector, so even places like southern and central Illinois, southern and central Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, PA, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Georgia, maybe even the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic on Friday, you guys could still see severe weather with this. And actually, the severe threat up into these areas is actually looking pretty significant with the NAM model. It's showing advection with a lot of dew points. It's obstructing the low pressure forming right in central Kentucky on Nashville. You get a very enlarged totograph with 1,300 SRH. Now this is capped and a bit kind of awkward looking because it doesn't have enough instability. But see here, same deal. Lots of streamwise vorticity in this area. You're going to have risk for isolated strong tornadoes along in the line and a lot of damaging wind gusts, but hail probably won't happen. Up in this area where you see this elevated instability, we do have potential for some large hail, maybe an isolated tornado or two, with like the backside of the low pressure here. But the main threats up there are probably going to be wind and hail. Wow, the NamNest puts out 82 knots of wind shear. I know this is probably going to be, this is a cherry pick sounding, but geez, 500 SRH, 1,100 SRH, and 500 K. There's a lot of vorticity and stuff up here. Yeah, look at that widespread 600 plus helicity 700, and that's at 0Z, by the way. It gets larger and bigger as it goes up into southeastern Kentucky as well. We will still have an isolated severe threat over there, but the line does kind of overtake the Cape over there, so the threat is going to be a lot less, which is a good thing. As we do get into Saturday, though, we do see potential for a threat up into the mid-Atlantic, which I will be talking about right now. You can see here the low pressure comes down. It kind of swings down here, and you end up taking some soundings up here, kind of right in front of that convection. You do see a little bit of instability. Not that much. If you do end up looking at the Cape, though, you get some Cape in Massachusetts, and we could end up seeing convection. If convection ends up going over that area, we could see a marginal tornado threat with that. At 15Z in the morning here, yeah, we do end up seeing some individual storms that form along the low pressure system and have a favorable environment for some isolated tornadoes. Now let's look at the GEFS. This is 18Z on Thursday. They're starting to agree on an embedded shortwave within the long wave trough, which this long wave will bring a few waves of severe weather, including this low pressure here. As you can see, an embedded shortwave right in there. If you end up looking at the main supersonic composite, and this is the main get you, it's at 1213 across the warm sector. That is rare, guys. That does not happen very much. Cape probs for over 1,000 is 100% in a lot of the warm sector. As you can see here, models are starting to agree with 2,000 plus Cape. EHI probability 100. Ensemble supersonic composite, most of them show a significant threat except one. The max is currently nearly 20, and the supersonic composite probability is 100%. Now, if we do end up looking at the WRAP solution for this event, which the WRAP only goes out to 18Z as well, shows a lot more morning convection than what the HRRR and other models show. These soundings are likely going to be contaminated as I take here because there is so much convection with the WRAP. The WRAP kind of over-convects. But as you can see here, lapse rates are favorable. Getting in wind shear is favorable. Cape is favorable. Wind shear and vorticity and the photographs are favorable. Like I've been saying this whole time. Same thing with the sounding. Same thing with this sounding, except the lapse rates are a bit more marginal, but overall, still favorable. Let's look into the Euro, and then I think we're gonna call it a video here. We'll get the instantaneous flash rate like we always do here. So, there's that cold core threat that we've been talking about. By the way, the cold core threat isn't looking as bad. There's Wednesday, then there's Thursday. The Euro just goes nuts and produces a lot of lightning across this area. Even up into Illinois, too, a lot of lightning in Michigan. Friday, we do end up seeing some isolated severe thunderstorms across New York and into the Carolinas and Alabama. There could be some isolated severe weather possibly in those areas, in the Northeast as well. Saturday, we could see some severe weather across the Southeast, and Sunday as well. And then after that, we get into La La Land. We have no clue what's going to happen at this point. Pass right about, I'd say, about 138 hours out, we really won't know. Unless it really gets consistent, which we're really not worried about that right now. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you do enjoy briefings on severe weather, please hit that subscribe button and tune in for the next video. Goodbye.